I am John, the Liquidator, and this is the Liquidator Report. We got breaking news coming out of Washington that President Trump carried out an attack against ISIS. Guys, this story is still developing. Let's head on over to X. We're not going to waste any time talking and all that. We're going to get right down to business and get right down to the action. So this was reported early this morning about President Trump carrying out an attack against ISIS. It says U.S. Special Operation Troops and Puntland Counterterrorism Forces carried out a pre-drone assault on ISIS Somalia hideouts in the Bayland Valley. More than 100 American operators arrived by MH-60 helicopters with MQ-9 Reapers overhead, striking cave positions held by about 10 to 15 ISIS members in the Banju and Morayo areas of the Cali Muscat Range. PCTF pushed in with roughly 200 troops after several days of U.S. airstrikes that had already killed multiple militants. The raid triggered 2 to 4 hours of close quarters clashes inside 4 or 5 caves, including engagements and foreign fighters from Syria, Turkey, and Ethiopia. By sunrise, U.S. and PCTF forces had drawn with no reported American casualties. So it looked like President Trump has carried out an attack on these members right here in the Middle East region. These are Somalian ISIS members, and President Trump, once again, is standing on business, making sure he's getting the job done and keeping our country safe. The article goes on to say early results indicated a senior ISIS Somalia commander and several aides was killed, along with a total of 5 to 10 terrorists. Forces also destroyed weapons, caches, and equipment used for gold mining operations funded. The group Puntland's leadership says its operation Halak now controls almost all the Cal Mesquite Mountains and aim to eliminate ISIS Somalia by December. So it looked like President Trump is definitely taken to stop this ISIS situation that is going on in Somalia. That's something else that is kicking headlines. It's President Trump pardoned turkeys. This is a more of a funny story here. Let's listen to what President Trump had to say.
Before going any further, I want to make an important announcement, because you remember last year, after a thorough and very rigorous investigation by Pam Bondi and all of the people at Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, the White House Counsel's Office, and the Department of Everything. We have a Department of Everything. You know what that is? I think that's called the White House. Into a terrible situation caused by a man named Sleepy Joe Biden. He used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined, that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid, as are the pardons of about every other person that was pardoned, other than, where's Hunter? No, Hunter's was good. That was the one pardon, Pam, that was good, right? The rest of them are all invalid. I don't know what the hell you're going to do about that, but now we're going to take a little of the joking. That is a mess. But they're hereby null and void. The turkeys known as Peach and Blossom last year have been located, and they were on their way to be processed. In other words, to be killed. But I have stopped that journey, and I am officially pardoning them, and they will not be served for Thanksgiving dinner. We saved them in the nick of time. This one has plenty of time, but they were saved in the nick of time.
So that was President Trump doing his annual pardon of the turkey. Now, something else that is making headlines is what is happening in Ukraine between Putin. Now, there is a ceasefire on the table, and it looked like more information is coming out about that. This was released by Fox earlier yesterday. It said any so-called peace deal that limits Ukraine's ability to defend itself will look more like a surrender. Putin and every would-be aggressors around the world will be emboldened. European security will be in even greater danger, and Americans' core interests will suffer. So this is what Fox had to say.
Well, good morning, Charlie. It's great to be with you. Look, I think this is a big moment. We're coming up on almost 4 years after the turn of this year. And we all want peace. We want Vladimir Putin to stop his aggression, stop stealing Ukrainian children, taking them back to Russia, killing innocent civilians. That's all something we want. Look, I think this is now a negotiation. I think President Zelensky will respond in a way that is positive. He'll do his best to accommodate the things that make sense for his country, and then he'll make a good choice for Ukraine. I also think about this, Charlie, from our perspective. And any so-called peace deal that somehow limits Ukraine's ability to defend itself and defend Europe is not good for the United States of America. We shouldn't think for a second Vladimir Putin has any true interest in peace. That's been demonstrated. It happened, when President Trump went to see him in Alaska, we saw that it was a fraud in the sense that he didn't want peace. He will go right back at this again. If we limit Ukraine's ability to secure its own freedom, its own sovereignty, he will put America at risk, he'll put Europe at risk, and he will go right back at this. It will end up looking more like surrender than a true peace agreement. And that's not something I think President Trump will allow to happen, nor is it good for the United States.
Moving on to another story that is going back to this Venezuela situation. Fox also put out a clip late yesterday evening talking about President Maduro as well. It says just in a show of American Force F-18. Now, we reported on this earlier today. B-15 bombers and a host of other military aircrafts was showing a show of force in Venezuela air. Guys, this is what Fox had to say. Let's give it a listen.
Correspondent Lucas Tomlinson is just off the coast of Venezuela in Trinidad and Tobago.
New images show Marines aboard the USS Fort Lauderdale, escorted by the destroyer Stockdale, transiting offshore, a mere 7 miles from Venezuela. Those Marines just wrapped up a week of training here in Trinidad, part of the show of force known as Operation Southern Spear in the Caribbean. Today, the State Department designated a cartel linked to Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro as a foreign terrorist organization, with the administration accusing Maduro and his generals of enriching themselves in the drug trade.
If the drug cartels go out of business, so does the Maduro regime.
The administration says the new designation opens up the cartel to airstrikes, claiming the same legal authority used to destroy suspected drug boats. Should President Trump give the green light, there is plenty of firepower in the Caribbean. This newly released photo aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford shows an electronic warfare jet used to jam enemy radar and destroy surface-to-air missile sites. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, has arrived in Puerto Rico to receive an operational update on Southern Spear, as lawmakers from both sides remain skeptical of the administration's plans.
What lies ahead could be worse than what we have now.
Historically, the United States' intervention in Central America or South America has not always rolled out the way we'd hope.
President Trump says he wants to speak with Maduro, who appeared at a rally Friday calling for dialogue, not conflict.
Not another war!
After the FAA warned airliners to avoid flying over Venezuela, some foreign carriers have canceled flights to Caracas. Tonight, F-18 Super Hornets from the USS Gerald R. Ford have linked up with a B-52 bomber to fly another show of force mission off the coast of Venezuela. Brett?
Lucas Tomlinson, not.
So it looked like there is going to be another show of force mission probably taking place today. Guys, I want to know your thoughts down in the comment section right now about all of these stories that has been released. Be sure to hype the video, like the video, share the content. I am John the Liquidator. This has been another episode of the Liquidator Report. I'm out of here, guys. Peace out.